Good morning, hello, good evening, good night. It is I, Sylvia, coming to you live from beautiful Eastbourne by the sea, where August has decided to be April. So we get April showers and sunshine and all sorts of wonderful things. And yeah, I don't mind really. I don't like being cooked alive and being in England, we don't have air conditioning. We have to open windows and close curtains and such to regulate the temperature indoors. And when it gets over 30 degrees, I'm just not very comfortable anymore. But at the moment, it's quite nice. And of course, the garden always can do with a bit of rain. Good morning, Marianne, and good morning, Ilka. My dear German ladies, guten Morgen. Guten Morgen zum schönen Deutschland. Um, I am sorry that there has been lots and lots of flooding in Germany as well. And my heart goes out to all the people who have been affected by this, as it does for all the people who are currently being affected by the flooding in the United Kingdom and in London especially. And at the same time, my heart goes out for the farmers in Australia who haven't had any rain for years now and whose fields are lying fallow and dusty. There is an there's so many things going on in the world that are, if we were to focus on them for too long, it would make us very sad indeed. And that really helps nobody when we want to go forward and assist people materially. I think that is a good idea, and do the best we can to work together and make something wonderful happen. And this is really, in spite of the title, it is the topic of today's Sunday Live. I'm glad I've got that word to say so I can sort of express what this is. Good morning, Julia. Julie. Oh, hi, Julie. Hi there. Yes, today's topic is really about getting together. And so while people are starting to get together here, I see people not as single entities, like single rocks on a flat plateau. There's a plateau of sand that stretches into infinity. And each individual person is just a rock by itself, like an island. If you were an ant and you were wandering about, you'd come to one island and to another island. And this unfortunate sort of idea, division, feeling, sense that modern people have, especially in the Western world and all who sail on her, which is the term that I use, people are feeling like they're alone. They're just this rock rumbling about. And then every so often a flood comes and picks up these rocks and tumbles them around and around and around and around. And it's out of control. And they're just, yeah, that's it, Of course, this is also stress related. The more stressed you are, and I am talking here, if there's ever anybody listening who doesn't know this, talking about the modern energy chart. On the negative side of the modern energy chart, you become more and more alone the lower you go on the modern energy chart, the less energy you have, and the more your energy system collapses in on itself, the more disconnected you become from the world around you and other people. And this gets just worse and worse and worse and worse until we get to this point that was described to me once by a schizophrenic who told me that he had these moments when he was completely collapsed and he felt himself to be completely alone in the entire multiverse. In all time spent, there was no one else, and there would never be anyone else, and they were that alone. And then eventually this one point of light that he still was just extinguished as well. And I thought that was really, really fascinating. And it describes this end point of the collapse of the energy system. When we are sort of happy and strong and feel strong inside, when our energy system is radiant and bright, then we have these big, big energy systems. And just for fun, and while we're here, why don't we just have a little sort of a trace around? So, how big is your energy system? Start sort of here with a fountain type movement and just have a feel of how expansive your energy system actually is, how far that stretches, how wide that goes. As a side note, I always think it's so sad that people are living in these tiny little spaces, in these tiny little cubby holes, and don't go outside often enough. And so in their awareness, it kind of shrinks them into sort of ant-like creatures, especially in the big cities and in some places where people live virtually living in shoeboxes. This our energy systems are much, much bigger. They do not end at our skin barrier. And yeah, that's one of those things. And keeping this energy system expanded and wide and big allows us to connect with, well, all sorts of other things out there. The more expansive the energy system becomes, the more connected we become. And a direct result of that is that through these connections, new energy and information comes into our systems. Not necessarily into our mind. Our conscious mind is thinking about things, it's doing its thing and looking around and wondering what's going on. But all the while, this additional information is coming streaming in. And that's obviously a survival thing. But it also brings energy nutrition into our energy bodies. And so that's kind of a groovy thing. And the opposite of that is when we just get stressed and upset and our energy systems collapse in on themselves. And then there's this sense of being ever more disconnected from everybody else. So yeah, let's do that again. That felt nice. Just have a little, let's give our energy systems a conscious instruction that it can expand out, because it is not contained by walls and bricks and roof tiles and concrete or even metal. It can expand out. Also down and up. The energy system doesn't stop at the soles of our feet. It just goes on. It goes down. And there's also fabulous energies to connect with, information. There's energy flows in the earth. There was a time you said that when people called you a fool. And I don't mind anymore, really. I just feel sorry for people who literally think that the entire world is just made of bricks and rocks and rock hard atoms and everything is only physical. There's such a limited view on the world. You enact that long enough, you will make yourself very sad and sorry. The actual experience is, of course, that there is so much more going on, so much we cannot see, but we can feel it. And that's the beautiful thing. That's the blessing of that. Just sort of had a sensation of standing on a mountaintop somewhere in the Alps or in the Himalayas, even, if you will, not too high though. We want to be breathing freely here. And when people go on holiday and they stand on a beach and there is this nature in front of you, and you don't have to put up shields against people or against billboards or against general ugliness or anything. And you're just having that moment there where you can actually just expand out into infinity and connect with all of that. It's just a wonderful thing. I think of that in terms of couple bubbling with the great creative order, with nature itself. And again, here I must make a big point, is that the materialistic view of nature as nature just being rocks and physical things is just terrible. It's a terrible thing. A terrible thing. This terrible world nobody would want to live in, unless you were, very, very stressed and you didn't realize how stressed you were, and you find yourself in this world and you think that's reality. That's where this comes from, is people got very stressed, and they probably got so stressed they got a bit autistic. And when that happens, then you disconnect, and then it's not there anymore. And when you hear then other people talking about connecting with the great creative order, being literally directly nourished by breathing in the air from a mountaintop, or, being absolutely uplifted, and this word uplifted, and the energy system expands upwards, and it feels like our spines are straightening up, and as though we get taller and bigger and stronger. And these people have no idea. It doesn't happen for them. They don't understand what we're talking about. And so to them, it's not real. And then that's their opinion. And then they teach that opinion in universities and in books. And they call everybody else who feels differently a fool. I think that's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Which is why I call for a revolution. Yes, so, hey, let's see what Ilka's saying. What a cool concept, couple bubbling with the creative order. Yeah, that's what that is, isn't it? When we go outside, let's say here by ourselves for a moment, we go outside and there is nature in all its various forms. There's the wind in our hair. There is the sunlight glinting on a lake. There is a field with flowers and insects and things, and they're swaying in the wind. And there is these moments where we just do that, where some amongst us, not all of us can do this, where some amongst us absolutely start seeing that beauty of it all, the perfection of it all, the enormous power grids resting on the land. And really, yeah, couple bubble with the great creative order. Absolutely. And really connect with it. And this is actually really good. I'm glad you said this, Ilka, because this is taking me to where I wanted to go. See, this morning I saw this article, and I just had a fit. I pitched a fit. It was an article about brains might synchronize. And I'm like, oh my God, brains might synchronize. This is this materialistic thing again. So these scientists are thinking, all right, so we've got brains like the zombies, brains inside a skull box here. And then there is another person on the other side of the room, and they've got their brain trapped inside their skull box as well. And how is it that these brains start to synchronize? Must be the electric impulses that somehow cross over. And so I looked this up a little bit more and found this horrendous study that was done in May this year. This is not even an excuse that this was in 1908, like our friends Yerkes Dobson with their rat experiments. No, this is 2021. They've bloody took mice and implanted transmitters into their brains and then stimulated those transmitters to be on the same frequency with lights being shone on the mice's heads. And that turned out to make the mice like each other more, or so they say. So they say. They had some sort of behavioral chart as how you would know whether mice's brains are synchronizing. This is what they're doing. This is what science is paying good money for. Implanting, oh my God, transmitters into mice's brains. God's sake. Wake up, people. How do brains synchronize? Brains synchronize when people fall in love, when they start thinking to get moving together, talking together, finding common ground. This is very, very important. And starting together to raise energy in a couple bubble. The more energy there is in the couple bubble, the tighter it becomes. Until you get to that point where people finish each other's sentences and you say something and that person immediately sees it in their own mind's eye. It's just so simple when you think in terms of energy bodies. There's two energy bodies. The people might be over here and there, but the energy bodies are already connecting up. They're connecting up here in the middle. And then there's a little sort of, good morning, how are you? How's the weather? How's the family? And these are sort of little test things going on as these energy bodies are having a dance together, dancing around. Do I want to get closer? And when the energy bodies really start to synchronize, when you're doing something together. Now, this mysterious thing used to be called rapport in the old sort of psychology, NLP worlds. When two people get into rapport, miracles happen. People change. People have experiences. And they start thinking with more than just their own lonely brain. But I believe that's a side effect. Well, I know it's a side effect of the energy systems starting to synchronize. The reason that I know this is because this also happens with people and animals. When you get, again, our autistic friends would have no conception of this, but the rest of us know this, that if you get into this connected state with an animal, a pet dog or a cat or a horse, and with dogs and horses, it's particularly easy to feel that and see that, because you are no longer master and dog, but you become a unit that's working together. And as the person, the human in this couple bubble, you are receiving the impressions from the dog. The dog is becoming an extension of you. And all of a sudden you hear more. You scent more. You understand more of tracking this deer through the forest, or perhaps a criminal that you're chasing as a police handler. You're becoming a single unit that's working together. And when that happens with a horse, for example, you're riding a horse, there is then that horse's strength, the horse's power is your power. That's you running through the forest. That's not you sitting on top of a horse going boing, de boing, de boing, de boing, de boing, ouch, ouch, ouch. You are storming through the forest with that incredible power. It's a fantastic experience. And I believe we need to have more of that. Yes, and when that happens with two people, It is literally identical to falling in love. Identical to falling in love. And I just hope to the stars that you know what it feels like when you are with somebody you are not you don't just love, that with somebody you're in love with, and how that affects your communication, the way you see the world, the way you don't think of yourself at all anymore, and just become this, I don't know, this open receiver for good things coming to you and just enjoying that. It's fascinating. And with the modern energy paradigm, it is so obvious and simple how that works. So obvious and simple how that works. Wow. In the old tapping sessions, so there's a client that would come to a tapping practitioner, and the client's of course nervous as hell. The tapping practitioner is scared to death that it's all going to go well. And then they're sitting there, and in the olden days, you used to kind of get into it by filling out endless forms like you were a doctor or a policeman or some kind of bureaucrat, to try and just stabilize that a little bit, to get the practitioner and the client into some level of sync before we start asking this awful question, oh, what's the problem? And I've got nose dive down the Sue scale. So now, rapport is terribly hard again. And this whole system was just not, I just thought, this is just a waste of time. Let's do something else instead. Let's do all the form filling by email. And so it's all done. So when the person comes, walks into the room, you can say to them, good morning. How wonderful to see you. Please choose your seat. And then in the old system, what I used to say was, okay, so you've been very stressed recently, and people, of course, you wouldn't be seeing a counselor or a therapist or a healer if you hadn't been stressed. So people will say yes, and so then we used to say, okay, let us just do a bit of tapping on stress. Let's assume the heart position, breathe deeply, and just let's raise some energy here. We'll just tap around on energy. Feel better. And of course, now they're doing this together, and at the same time, they're breathing together, they're saying the word energy together at the same time. And so that's the beginning of this powerful couple bubble, where the client feels they're being understood. And the reason they feel that way is because they are being understood, because the practitioner is listening and she is couple bubbling with them. And they're getting more information that way about the person, about their problems, without having to say a word, without having to ask them about anything, which is so beautiful. And so then when we are now in this position that we are in a level of rapport, we can ask, what's the problem? And then we can say the magic words where EFT turns to modern energy tapping, which is, what do you need to make some progress in solving this problem? What do you need right now? I'd need a miracle. Cool. Miracles are awesome. Let's tap on miracle together. So now the two are tapping on this word, miracle. They're breathing at the same time. They're focusing on the same thing. This person needs a miracle for their problem to start to evolve towards a solution. It's beautiful. Every tap they take, the connection becomes stronger and their energy is becoming higher. So this is now connecting up all sorts of other things. Wow, this is becoming a wonderful experience of togetherness. And in fact, I my aspects used to be worried back in the year 2000 that we'd have this problem that all the clients and the therapists would fall in love with each other. And then there'd be terrible problems with transference and countertransference and all sorts. But it actually turns out if you're if you're doing that sort of energy work together, that doesn't happen. Weirdness doesn't happen. People just happy. They're happy and grateful, and they may have a hug at the end and thank you very much and shake each other's hand. That was awesome. There wasn't no weirdness, no negative side effects. Now, I can't promise that if millions and millions of people were to do this, there wouldn't be once in a while. I can't promise that. But as a general rule, there seems to be very little danger in getting into deep rapport with other people or couple bubbling deeply with other people. And in fact, I believe it's the way forward. There's so many people who believe they need one soulmate and that's it. You know, you've got this one soulmate and this person is going to fulfill every need you will ever have. And I think that's not true. I think we have a big variety of energy needs and therefore need a big variety of different people to couple bubble with every so often for half an hour, for 45 minutes, something like that. You know, that there's this because you can go in and out without having to start to stalk them or get married to them or something. You can just have a good experience together. Wow. Is it even possible? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Great. Yeah. So, thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below what you think about that. How do we get into a couple bubble? How do we get into a group bubble? I used to do live trainings, and I was always really aware of the fact that when I'm in a group, I think with more than just my own brain. I get to have an expanded access to computing systems. And I always thought of this as the SETI program, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. So what they used to do is they used to chain lots and lots of small computers together, and they together create this supercomputer. And I feel like that when I'm in a training group and we are having a strong group bubble where everybody is engaged, everybody is interested, everybody is energy high. We got energy high together. And now we're starting to create this overmind, this expanded intelligence that is way beyond what any one of us by our lonesome selves could come up with. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful thing. It doesn't happen in a cult scenario where you've got a cult leader who tells everybody what they should be thinking. That doesn't work. You're only going to get your own thing back. But if you become a part of the group and properly engage with that group, then these awesome things can happen. And I have had some awesome experiences, real high-level shamanic experiences that I know I would have never ever have had if I'd been by my lonesome self. You know, I can have fantastic experiences by myself, don't get me wrong, but I have always worked with people, worked with feedback, been super interested in doing that, in couple bubbling and group bubbling, because I know that lifts my intelligence and my thinking to a whole new level. It's a wonderful thing. So yeah, okay. So let's spend our last 15 minutes here together making this practical. How now that we know this is so, how can we make use of this? How can we do something with it. Much as I love the theory, I love the practice even more, because the practice gives the experiences and the star events. So next time you are talking to someone else, anyone else, and this can be in the heart, or it can be on Skype or online or something like that, see if you can strengthen the couple bubble. How do you strengthen a couple bubble? The very first thing is that it helps if at least one person in the group or in the couple is energy high and has a desire and a will to create or to have a powerful group or couple experience. Not to be afraid of it. You don't have to marry that person. If you're couple bubbling with a person of a certain gender, it doesn't mean that you are now joining the LGBT community. It is pure, it is a pure energy thing for the human energy body. There has to be a will to this. I want to couple bubble. I do. Yes, with this person. I want to learn from them, learn through them, use their beautiful brain to expand my own thinking and understanding and awareness of the world. I really want to dive into that and be uplifted by it. Perhaps even have an enlightenment experience, a star moment because of it. See, this is a way to get more star moments into our incarnations. A lot of star moments happen in a group bubble or a couple bubble situation where you are simply for that time more than just the two parts there. It's just more expanded. That is fertile ground for creating new star memories. So that's, I think, well worth doing. So step one, there's a will there. I want to get closer. I want to couple bubble with you. I want to have that experience. Once we have the will, there's a way. And the way is by raising energy together. And that's important, together. Let's say there's two people. One is me and the other one is someone else. Yeah, that's easy to conceptualize. So I can talk about something that raises my energy. And that could be a really weird thing, like Project Sanctuary, for example. And I could talk about that for hours. And the more I talk about it, the more my energy will raise. But this other person doesn't like Project Sanctuary, or doesn't know what it is, or isn't excited or enthusiastic about it. So what we need to do is we need to find something, at least to start with, that we are both excited and enthusiastic about. And this is what happens at the beginning of a romantic relationship, when people fall in love. They start saying, so what's your favorite song? And this person might say, oh, my favorite song is called Candle. And they go, and the other person might say, oh yeah, I like that song too, by the band Roll Up. Yeah, by Roll Up. Oh wow, yeah. How many? Do you also like their other song about the girl in the rain? Yes, I love that song. And you can just, even by me just totally making this up, you can see how this, oh yes, wow, I love that too. How that just creates a couple bubble, just like that. Just by agreeing on something that you love, by finding something that both of you love, that spins up both of your energy system in a very similar way at the same time, which is super interesting and really good fun. And I'd just like to say this, as an old person, you've got a huge advantage because you've done so many things in your life. The older you're getting, the easier it is to find something in your memories that connects you with that person. And that's kind of hilarious, but it's true. So yeah, it is really as simple as that. Have the will and then find something that both of you love. You might have to flip through quite a few things. You know, do you like curry? Oh God, no, I hate curries. You don't have to say I hate curries too. You don't have to say that at all if you love curries. And just immediately move on to the next thing. Oh, that's a shame. I really like a good curry. But then, tell me what you like. What do you like? I like fried chicken. Okay. Oh, I love fried chicken too. Yes. My mother had a special recipe. And we're off and running. And now somebody might say, well, why would you do that? Why would you waste time on that? That's just chit chat. It's not. It's really wonderful. Let's just say, for argument's sake, the person you are talking to is, I don't know, your accountant or bank manager. Yes, there's this other stuff that you have to discuss at some point, but it's really worthwhile getting into a strong couple bubble with the person you're dealing with before you get onto the topic of the day. So you're both really energy high, and that's going to help, isn't it? So, yeah. And really, that's about it. Have the will to want a bigger couple bubble, and then use this method of finding something that you can agree on that you love to bring you together. And that's it. That is it. Now, knowing that this is so, we can also muse on when the opposite occurs. When you start with, you see a person, you say, I hate you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I wish you were dead or you didn't even exist. And then the other person thinks the same. And there is no cooperation possible. There is no meeting of the minds possible. There's no discussion possible. There's nothing other than chaos and destruction. It's also well worth to note when that happens in communications, in the real world. Okay, let's go and have a look here. My frequency is certainly bubbling. Listen to that concept. Yeah, it's a lovely thing. It's see, I don't think people are supposed to be by themselves. I also don't think people are supposed to be in couple bubbles and that's it for the rest of their lives. I think people are supposed to be a tribe. And like it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to evolve an adult human being. It takes a village. It takes a village to evolve us. We need to speak to lots of different people and couple bubble with them. Because as soon as you do that, you get into that you're walking a mile in their moccasins sort of thing. You learn about them, about their motivations. You start to understand them. The world just becomes a more logical place. And you become a more logical, more loving person. You evolve in the act of. Let's see what Ilka's saying. I do this each time when I'm giving a session or a seminar. I ask, where do you feel this person in my body? My mind says, I don't know who you are. I want to learn you. Please show me who you are. That's right. Right. I mean, to those people who are thinking this is all too lovey-dovey and not practical, it is extremely practical. Any advanced martial arts master will tell you that if you don't know your enemy and you're not willing to know your enemy, you are going to lose the fight. They will tell you that you need to be open, that you need to get all the information possible to be as prepared as possible. When something is right, it's just right. Knowing more about people and having the will to know more about them, having the will to that. It's not lovey-dovey. It's practical. It's practical and miraculous, both at the same time. And we can practice these couple bubble, group bubble things in perfect safety with our friends, with our relatives, with the people we already know and love and trust. Or, if you don't like your mother-in-law or whoever it may be, practice it with them and see what it does for you. See how you can use this to improve your experience, to improve your reality, to empower yourself, literally empower yourself in your dealings with other people. Just remember the two things. The number one is the will to learn more, to know more, to understand more, and to gain access to that extra computational power that the other person has. And it doesn't matter if they're smart or if they're stupid. I mean, the more stupid there are, the more unused computing power there must exist in their beautiful brains. They might give you insights that you would never get from somebody who's as smart as you are or as educated as you are. Wonderful, wonderful opportunity for those of us who love to think expansively, widely, intelligently. I know it's not a hot button topic for the youth of the world today, but I love intelligence. I love it. I think it is so, so sexy. And the more we can have of it, the better for everyone concerned. Okay, my lovelies. Yeah, I think that's cheered me right up today. Very happy after this horrendous thing this morning with the reductionist materialism. And I call the world to a revolution. Bring back energy awareness, bring back the energy body, bring back the practical advantages of understanding that we're not alone, that we have these beautiful radiant energy fields that can come together and form these powerful supermind structures where we can be together far more intelligent, powerful, magical, wise than any of us could ever be by our lonesome selves. I think that's just amazing. It's wonderful. And at least we've got something we want to go forward to. Something that we want to go forward towards a time of humanity where humanity learns those simple lessons of the benefits of getting together at high energy levels and finding solutions to our problems. Rather than delving down into stress and beating each other over the heads with bloody sticks again and again and again and again, which never serves anybody in the long run, doesn't make anybody happier. Pavel just said something. Pavel is watching and recording about riding a horse. I realized how much love your spiritual stand up your star power. Okay. Yes, thank you for your comment. Not quite sure I understood that, but there we have it. It's it's this thing with the group bubbles and the couple bubbles unlocks so many things. It gives you the opportunity to take a charge of a whole group easily at that, even if you're not a great public speaker. I remember one of the participants of one of the Star Matrix Masters courses, saying that they went on some sort of family thing over Christmas, and it was always usually a very chaotic affair, but this time they actually stood up and said, um, let's remember some good things. What's your best gift you ever had at Christmas? What's the best, do you have any funny memories of Christmas? And people just started telling happy stories, coming together in laughter and positivity and forming a family bubble. And that's just so fabulous. And this person was not a communications expert. He's just a person who had learned to ask a question about good memories. And then to see this result in the room of all these relatives that were fighting for donkey's years, coming together and having that experience, that Christmas experience. How powerful is that? What else? You tell me. What else could do that? All right, LSD in the punch bowl, but even there, the results could be dubious. So, yeah, I hope you're going to play with this. I hope you're going to, embrace the idea of group bubbles and couple bubbles, proper ones. Not this cult thing where everybody thinks the same things as the leader thinks, but the real high energy bubbles where everybody brings their own uniqueness, absolutely their own uniqueness to the party. And it is in their own uniqueness where the gift of them lies. You are the gift that only you would have to give in all time spent. There's no one else like you. That's your gift. Oh, man. And when it comes to the group bubbles and the couple bubbles, that's your gift. Everything else melts away, whether you're old or fat like me, or, what race you are, what background you are, all of that, it fades away. And now it's only about energy, your energy, the gift that only you would have to give. And I love that. Absolutely love that. And that's a hill I'm willing to die on every day of the week, that we can transcend the physical when we play our cards right, and our beautiful brains, and thinking with just more than our own heads for a change. That's the cure for this god-awful reductionist materialism where they're implanting chips in mice's brains. Really. I mean, really. Let's group bubble and couple bubble instead. Let's raise energy. Let's find focus on something that we love, that inspires us, that will take us personally, each one of us, forward into the future. And find people who love the same things that you love. It's not very hard. And group bubble and couple bubble with them and learn more and find more things to love. It's a beautiful expansion, and certainly something every person can play with in their personal lives at any time. Okay, my dear friends. Let me go here. Extremely inspiring. Thank you so much for all that fantastic input. Oh, thank you very much, dear Marianne. Thank you for being here with me. It wouldn't be the same without you guys. It wouldn't. I don't know what I would be talking about, but I am not just speaking at you in these live streams. I'm speaking with you. And I hope you can sense that. And I hope you will join me again, hopefully for next week's Sunday Live with Sylvia. And check out some of the older ones. There's good stuff in each and every one of them. Ah, dear Linda. Thanks, Sunday Sylvia. Brilliant flow of words. Ah, words and energies. Words are sounds and words are wings. Touch you, show you many things. Okay, guys, lots of love from me and from my UFO. And from my spark of inspiration, may you have a fabulous week and have a little play and see how good you can get your couple bubbles, your group bubbles. Just play with it. See what happens when you do. Lots of love and bye for now. See you next week for Sunday Live with Sylvia. Bye, everybody.